Oh, does this say my battery? I have no battery? Yeah, it says I have no battery. Should I just use this?
All right, guys, what are you going to do?
What do I say? Hello, Ron.
Hey, Ronnie. Good.
Hi,
We're
Dan.
about to start.
Cocks out their tie. Um, Here's an issue that I have. And it's a big issue.
Um, um, Jason, if we could mute everyone online, that'd be great.
Shabbat Shalom all.
Shabbat shalom.
And Chag Sameach one last morning. We get to liberate ourselves from the slavery of matzah. sort of a funny thought because, the matzah is actually the symbol of our freedom too. But we come together for Shabbat, and we come together for Yizkor. We come together to celebrate the arrival of beautiful little souls and to give them Jewish names that bind them together to our Jewish family, past and future. And there would be a lot of logic to say, like, that's ridiculous to do all that in one morning. You should do your sadness in place X and go to a distant place from that to do your joy. And who would be so naive to try to do them together? And maybe it is naive on our part, but it is definitely the Jewish way of thinking. I'm sure it's not just the Jewish way of thinking, but recognizing that as we allow ourselves to feel our losses, to grieve what's not here, it actually helps us feel the possibilities, the joy, the hopes, even with more breadth and expansiveness and passion and possibility. And I think these multiple directions of this morning, of both going down and also going up, are the directions of life and the directions that every one of us must go and must choose to go if we choose. It's easier to pretend or, I don't know, somehow be orthodox about living in the flatlands, neither the going down or the going up. But this morning, we're going to go up and up and up, and part of the way we're going to do that is by spending a little bit of time, in about 20 minutes or so, going into Yizkor. So with all of that, we're going to start where every serious spiritual tradition starts, which is in a reflective mode, a mode of gratitude about arriving at this moment. Like, we're here. You guys look great. You all look amazing. If you feel half as good as you look, Dayenu, right? And that's what we do at this stage. Good, yeah, you're right. The opening blessings are, to a very large degree, about the physical experience we have when we wake up as human beings, which can cause us to complain or kvetch, that's a technical word, but also or an invitation, a window into feeling, oh my gosh, it's so lucky that I've woken up today. So hopefully you have in hand a prayer book that says weekdays and festivals. Weekdays and festivals. The page numbers we're going to be calling out will be in that prayer book. This is Shabbat, so we might have been using the Shabbat prayer book, but because we're doing Yizkor, we've chosen this Siddur, and so 154. If you do not have anyone have a different Siddur prayer book? Does everyone have the right one? Great. Our dear friend, family, TBE family member Arlene is in the back if you need to trade out your book. All right. Colleague, cantor, friend, we are on page, 154, 158?
154.
54. Ma tovu.
Ma tovu. Ma tovu. Ohalecha Yaakov. Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu. Ma tovu. Ohalecha Yaakov. Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Va'ani berov chastecha אבוא ביתך, אשתחווה אל היכל קודשך ביראתך. מה טובו, מה טובו, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. אדוני אהבתי מעיון ביתך, ומקום משכן כבודך, אלוהים ברוב חסדך, ענני באמת אישך. מה טוב הוא, מה טוב הוא, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. מה טוב הוא, מה טוב הוא, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל, משכנותיך ישראל.
Turn now to page
158.
158.
Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatata bi, Shenatata bi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. One more time. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama, Neshama, Shenatata bi, Shenatata bi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi.
Together, the English, 158. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks before you,
Adonai,
my God, and God of my ancestors. Source of all creation, sovereign of all souls, praised are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind.
Baruch atah Adonai, asher beyado, nefesh kol chai, v'ruach kol basari.
Turn to page 160 and offer a series of blessings, which really are the miracles of the everyday. Join in the Hebrew and the English, or say an Amen at the end of each blessing. You get more credit for the Amen than you do for the blessing itself. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. And now the English, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the
blind.
blind.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen.
162. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes and slumber from the eyelids.
Page 164.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who made me in the image of God.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew.
or whatever spiritual path I follow.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher קידשנו במצוותיו והציוונו לעסוק בדברי תורה.
Hallows us with mitzvot and commanding us to engage with words of Torah. Amen. One last time.
Amen.
Amen. 167 together, the top. We seekers of God, how do we find you? In good deeds and in the study of Torah. And your search for us? You find us in the bending of the knee, in the rigor of study, in the honesty of commerce, through a good heart, through decency, and respect and true fellowship, companionship and love, through truth and peace, in the no that is really no, and the yes that is really yes.
Baruch atah Adonai, hamlamed Torah le'amo Yisrael.
Love that. How do we be faithful? By seeking. The search is that's faith from our Jewish tradition. Elu Devarim 168. Together, these are things that are limitless,
of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are
honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people, and the study of Torah encompasses them all. Turn to 174. Baruch She'amar. God spoke. We speak, and worlds come to be.
Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu, Baruch עושה וראשית, ברוך אומר ועושה, ברוך עוזר ומקיים, ברוך מרחם על הארץ, ברוך מרחם על הבריות, ברוך משלם שכר טוב לרעיו, ברוך חי לעד וקיים לנצח, ברוך פודה ומציל, ברוך שמו, בשבחו ובזמרו נגלך, ונשבחך ונפרך ונזכיר שמך, ונמליכך מלכנו אלוהינו, יחיד חי העולמים, מלך משובח ומפאר עדי עד, שמו הגדול, ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך מחולל בתשבחות.
Page 178.
אשרי יושבי ביתך עוד יהללוך סלע, אשרי העם שככה לו, אשרי העם שאדוני אלוה, תהילה לדוד, ארומימך אלוהי המלך, ועברך שמך לעולם ועד, בכל יום אברכך, ועללה שמך לעולם ועד, גדול ארוני ומחולל מאוד, ולגדולתו אין חקר, דור לדור ישבח מעשיך, וגבורותיך יתידו, הדר כבוד הודיך, ודברי נפלותיך עשיך, ועזוז נרותיך יאמרו, וגדולתך אספרנה, זכר עבדך יביעו, וצדקתך ירננו, חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדל חסד, טוב אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו, יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך. 179, כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו, להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו, וכבוד הדר מלכותו, מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור, סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים, עיני חולליך יסברו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעיתו, פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון. צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו. קרוב אדוני לכל קוראיו, לכל אשר יקראו ויאמר. רצון יראיו יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם. שומר אדוני כל אוהביו, ואת כל השעים ישמיד. תהילת אדוני ידבר פיו, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד. ואנחנו נברך ים מעתה ועד עולם, הללויה. Kodesho, Hallelujah, 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 Birkia Uzo, Hallelujah, 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 Bigvorota, Hallelujah, 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 Kirov Kudlo, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Kol Hanshamate, Hallelujah, 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 Kol Hanshamate, Hallelujah, 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 Beteka Shofar, Hallelujah, 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 Beneben Bechinor, Hallelujah, 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 Betof Umachor, Hallelujah, 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 Beminim Be'ugam, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Kol Hanshamate, Hallelujah, 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 Kol Hanshamate, Hallelujah, 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 Betzilzele Shama, Hallelujah, 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 Betzilzele Teruah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Kol Hanshamate, Hallelujah, 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 Kol Hanshamate, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
Let's turn to page 187 for the Chatzi Kaddish. 187.
Yikadal v'yikadal Hashem haba
Amen.
Be'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayir chol bet Yisrael Ba'agala u'v'zman kariv yimeruhu Amen Yehei Shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam alamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh Vitadar vitale vitalal shemede kudesha berichu leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imeru amen. We're on page 188. Please rise for the call to prayer. Baruch Hu. Lai 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 Barechu et Adonai hamevorach Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed Baruch Adonai hamevorach Page 190. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uborei choshech osei shalom uborei et hakol. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness,
who makes peace and fashions all things. In mercy you illumine the world and those who live upon it. In your goodness you daily renew creation. How numerous are your works, Adonai. In wisdom you form them all, filling the earth with your creatures. Be praised, Adonai, our God, for the excellent work of your hands, and for the lights you created. May they glorify you. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we all may swiftly merit its radiance. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights.
אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה
on 193 responsively. You can do the indented parts. Our rabbis taught 613 mitzvot were given to Moses. Your turn.
Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
Isaiah based all the mitzvot upon two of them: keep justice and righteousness.
Amos saw a guiding principle upon which all 613 are founded. Seek me and live.
Habakkuk expounded the Torah on the basis of a single thought: the righteous shall live by their faith.
Akiba taught, the great principle of the Torah is expressed in the mitzvah, you shall love your neighbor as yourself.
But Ben Azai found a principle even more fundamental. This is the story of humanity. When God created us, God made us in the divine image.
And Hillel
summoned up the Torah in this maxim: what is hateful to you, do not do to others. The rest is commentary. You must go and study it.
Baruch atah Adonai, abocher b'yamo Yisrael b'yahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Baruch Shem kevo malchuto leolam vaed. Page 196.
May be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
So just back from this civil rights pilgrimage to Selma and Montgomery and Birmingham and Memphis, I'm feeling the spirit of this reading on 203 very strongly. It was quite a thing to walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge on the journey to Montgomery. Let's offer it together, 203. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai, that wherever we are, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. 202.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות עושה פלא נורא תהילות עושה שיר חדשה שמחו גאולים לשמך שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובתי חינומך, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Page 204. אדוני שבתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, מביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. Page 208. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים באמונתו משני עבר, מחמוך על גבורות ומדום אלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל, לברכה ולא לקללה, לחיים ולא למוות, לשובע ולא לרזון. Page 212. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב ביד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, ולא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, ומושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי לי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודיר דור נגיגות לך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. 2:14. אתה בחרתנו מכל העמים, אהבת אותנו ורצית בנו, ורוממתנו מכל הלשונות, וקידשתנו במצוותיך, וקרבתנו מלכנו לעבודתנו, ושמך הגדול והקדוש עלינו קראת, ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה, שבתות למנוחה ומועדים לשמחה, חגים וזמנים לששום את יום חג המצות הזה, זמן חירותנו, מקרא קודש, זכר לציאת מצרים. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, יעלה ויבוא ויזכר וזיכרוננו, וזיכרון כל עמך בית ישראל לפניך לטובה, ולכן ולחסד חג ורחמים ולחיים ושלום ביום חג המצות הזה. זוכרנו אדוני אלוהינו בו לטובה, ופוקדנו בו לברכה, והושיענו בו לחיים. Amen. We continue in private meditations for the next several pages. We'll be joined together for a prayer for peace.
Seated or standing as your custom or strength allows.
At your own pace, or join me on page 228. O se shalom b'meroma, o ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Amen, amen. As we said last night, cancer, you help us remember that a beautiful insight in our tradition is that there's a melody for every day, a distinct melody for every day. We've got a melody for the regular mundane days of the week. We have melodies for Shabbat. We have melodies for the holidays, and it's beautiful. We're about to transition. I'm going to ask you to turn to page 310, and we're going to right now to begin the service of Yizkor. But just to let you know the roadmap, we're gonna offer the service of Yizkor meaning to remember. After we share a few readings and musical pieces, I'll speak. I'll offer a thought, and we'll take a moment of silence as we remember our loved ones individually. We come together as a community, but create a space for each of us individually. And then we'll close the Yizkor service out and begin to go up in a journey, beginning with Hallel, a short Hallel, and we'll close with the Torah service when we celebrate your great-grandchildren, Renee.
And it's fine if they make noise during Yizkor. That gives us hope.
It's supposed to be that way. May it be that way. The noise is not noise. It's holy children's voices. Okay, so if we can turn to, as I said, 310. And we begin our service of East Core on that page 310.
Adonai ma'adam v'todaehu ben enosh vad chashvehu Adam lahavel damai yamav ketzel over בבוקר יציץ וחלף, לערב ימולל ויבש.
Together, 310. Adonai, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are as a passing shadow. We come and go like grass, which in the morning shoots up, renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to revert to dust, saying, Return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood where we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing away. Our glory does not accompany us. Mark the wholehearted and behold the upright. They shall have peace. Adonai, you redeem the soul of your servants. And none who trust in you shall be desolate. Page 312.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בהינו דשא ירביצני על מי מנוחות, על מי מנוחות ינח עליני. נפשי ישובב, ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא יירא כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי, לפניי, שולחן נגד צורריי. תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחסר.
And let's offer the English still in 312. A psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. God makes me lie down in green pastures. God leads me to water in places of repose. God renews my life. God guides me in right paths, as befits God's name. Though I walk through a valley of deepest darkness, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You spread a table for me in the full view of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My drink is abundant. Only goodness and steadfast love shall pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai for many long years. We turn to page 313, just the next page. Esa enai el heharim. I turn my eyes to the mountains.
Esa enai el heharim, me'ayin me'avin yavo ezri. Esa enai el heharim, me'ayin me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai ose shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai ose shamayim va'aretz.
314. Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid.
Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid, ki mimini ba lehemot. Lachen samach libi vayagel kvahodi, af basari yishkon lavetach. Ki lo tazov nafshi lishol, lo titen chastecha lirot shachat. Todi'eni orech chayim, orach chayim. Zova semachot et panecha, nima'ot b'mincha netzach. Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid, ki mimini bal emot.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cantor. So, I'm going to share our message, and as I conclude, I'm going to sit down, and we're going to take a moment together and individually. The text of the Yizkor is on page 316, different renderings of the text. And after I share my message, then, as I said, we'll sit in our own space with tears of sadness and joy. And then after a moment of silence together, we'll come back together for El Malei Rachamim and move out of the service of Yizkor. So what is Yizkor? What's the meaning, the essence of this service that we do 4 times every year? Every Yom Kippur day, and for years we've been blessed with the wisdom and uplift and comfort of Rabbi Davidson. And then as well in the holidays of Sukkot in the fall after Yom Kippur, and Pesach right now, and Shavuot, which is on June 4th. This service of Yizkor is the foundation of our Jewish commitment, maybe our Jewish obsession with remembering. We shall remember. That's Yizkor. The great Jewish historian Yosef Yerushalmi teaches that 169 times the Torah uses some form of the word zachor, remember. We Jews have turned remembering, he says, into a religious imperative. Let me remind you that as Jews, we actually don't even have a word like history. The Hebrew language doesn't have such a word. Of course, Israelis will say historia, but it's not a Hebrew word. I mean, it's been adopted. But what we do have are words such as Yizkor, Zachor, Zecher, Zikaron, all different forms of remembering, memory. Some, when thinking about the past, like the term winner's history, as in the winners get to lie, distort, erase, delete the role, the rights, the reason of the loser. Only the winner's story is preserved. Losing should never be the experience of the winner. For us Jews, however, winner's history means something very different. Winner's history for us is to discern meaning, particularly from our losses, to make possible a fuller, brighter, richer future by interrogating the mistakes of our past. Consider these Jewish titles: Making Loss Matter, a book by David Wolpe, or When Bad Things Happen to Good People by Harold Kushner. Notice the book title is not Why Bad Things Happen, but When Bad Things Happen. This morning, somewhat selfishly, I want to remember and share a few moments from three members of our direct and extended TBE family. As I look out, I could add another several dozen, and I have in the past, but this morning I'm going to focus on three. And I want to begin with a few of the writings of one Herman Zarin, who, along with his wife Rose, brought Mike and Renee into this world, and Mike and Renee to TBE some, I'm saying 60 years ago. Am I close enough, Renee? Close enough. The book is in my office, and in the book is a little written note by Mike to Rabbis Tara and Meir Feldman, from my father through me to you, Mike. That was in May of 2013. Moments of my life, days of our times. It's a collection of poems, and you, family members, you know these poems for many years. For my wife, children, and grandchildren, and whoever may read these poems that were written and rewritten during a span of over 50 years. This, as I say, is by Mike Zarin, Herman, Mike's father. For just a few poems. The first one I'm sharing is Moments. Moments are the bulbs of life that leap into flame on the electric board some call eternity. I think of this poem evokes for me carpe diem. Some say seize the moment. Come up to me and be there, God says to Moses. Come to me. Make sure to be with me. Be in this moment. Don't come to me if you're going to be somewhere else. And a poem that reminds us that changing history is oh so hard. It so often just repeats. The title of Herman's poem, this poem is, We Do Not Have Enough. We do not have enough. Their bombs are more powerful than ours. We do not have enough. They have more missiles than we have. We do not have enough. They have more submarines. Who does not have enough? Is it plain Joe American? Is it plain Ivan Russian? Or mad generals, admirals, their leaders, power mad? Dear Herman, I think you were a prophet. Another poem entitled Our Only Garden. This earth is our only garden. We, the fortunate gardeners, it's okay, are picking up our kids' toys. We, the fortunate gardeners, recipients of magical wealth, soil, sunlight, water, mines, protective air, creative air, all to use according to their well-examined chemistry and our determined choice. The challenge to men and women is not alone our vast factories, our temples, armed fleets, or setting foot on the empty moon, but the inner quality of our lives and the garden we create for our successors and ourselves. What a profound insight and passion for our natural world. A man way before his time, maybe. After bringing Adam and Eve into the world, says the Midrash, God walks them around the Garden of Eden and says, I give you this garden. It is yours for your benefit and pleasure. Take care of it. There will not be another one like it. That was May of 2018, Sivan, the month of Sivan, 5778, which we're almost at Sivan. Mike Zarin, inspired most likely by his father Herman's writings, he wrote a draft entitled Torah Study, One God, Doing Good. And he said this is a draft of thinking. And dear Michael Zarin shared this with me on August 4th, 1922, or it was dated to me August 4th, 2022. I'm quoting just a few sentences from it. The magnificent concept of one God is an important precursor to peace. Even though we know that Torah was written by men and the concept of one God is for man, we Jews have one God who directs us all to do good. Now, unlike a prior generation, we bring joy into the synagogue. We bring music. We bring centrality of family, friends, love, small groups. But we never forget the basic and underlying need to impel others to do good. Good for their immediate others and good for society. All that makes the synagogue and rabbinical guidance an imperative. So our basic, this is now me, no longer dear Mike Zarin. Our basic and underlying need is to impel others. I'm channeling you, Michael. To impel others to do good. This is Yizkor. We are remembering the essentials, the Jewish pillars that help raise up Mike's life, and I think Herman's as well. One additional piece from Herman. I am now 65 years old. This is in 1965. I am now 65 years old, but my hunger to understand is still young. All of my life, I've been seeking the answer to the question, what is it all about? An awareness of the mysterious complexity of our human existence has both aroused and suppressed the urge within me to write down my comment on it. All of my life, I've been hungry for love. I did not quite get the warmth of love from my parents in my youth. They had not been taught to give love, and I missed it, though I never lacked the ordinary necessities. Despite the fact that I sometimes felt hurt, I saw that making others suffer was no answer to the human problem. I feel a compulsion to be helpful and an inability to take advantage of other human beings. In short, wrote Herman, I have lived, suffered, and enjoyed life, and before I go, it is now essential to me that I set down my thoughts about what it is all about. I want my dear children and grandchildren to remember me as one who loved them warmly, who thought and was concerned about the intangibles of our human existence. I want you to remember me as one who loved you warmly and as one concerned about the intangibles of human existence. Dear Herman, I'm saying you have distilled Yizkor, distilled the purpose, the mission of a Jewish life about as well as it can be done. We are so grateful to Herman and Rose for bringing Mike and Eve Zarin into this world and eventually bringing Mike and Renee to Temple Beth-El, pillars for many decades, and for blessing TBE and the world with grandchildren, Cynthia, Dina, and Dan, and now a generation of great-grandchildren who will be named here in a few moments. We Jews do some things exceedingly well. One of those things is to transcend time and place. On every page of Talmud, relatives sit around a table with coffee and cake and have a deep, playful, confusing, brilliant, loving conversation. Debate. That's a page of Talmud, with voices at the same table that span continents and centuries. At every wedding, a couple is wrapped in a tallis or makes kiddush with a kiddush cup. The tallis or kiddush cup often come from a parent or grandparent whose life was in a different generation, in a different location, a different continent. Every Shabbat in my home, we use the candlesticks my Nana brought from the Ukraine 100 years ago. Last night, and every Shabbat in our home, we bind ourselves, it's okay, to a place far away, the little Ukrainian town of Nemirov, and a long time ago, about a century or so. We Jews are so good at transcending time and space, and this is Yizkor. There can be here. Then can be now. This morning is about remembering the voices of our families. I'm remembering another voice, that of B. Glasser Schutzer, mom of Abby and Andy, grandma to Amanda and Alex, and a great-grandma to 5 beautiful great-grandchildren. Dear B once wrote Abby a letter after Abby had experienced a disappointment. Her words are so fitting for this moment of Yizkor. My dearest Abby, you have a lifetime to fulfill your dreams and 2 loving parents to help. Perhaps, as you say, it was meant to be. Sometimes events, disappointments like this actually make it possible for us to achieve what we desire and to appreciate it all the more. I just want you to know we love you. And I'm sorry we were not together at a time you needed us. You are, always were, and will always be a winner. With all my love, Mom. Nothing that transcends time and space more than that, dear B. You, your words, your faith, your trust, we're speaking to you right now, your unconditional love. We all know that the love we give and the love we receive transcends time and space. A third family memory, this from my mom, my beloved mom. In the summer of 1989, my papa died. My papa from the Ukrainian town of Nemirov. Awesome, my mom would love this, your voice as much as mine. And my mom, Dottie Feldman, wrote a daughter's Kaddish for her daddy. And I'd like to share some of it. I quote, "For all the minds of women who have been excised from the study of Talmud, I offer a Kaddish for my daddy with love, with honor, and with dignity. Yours, my sweet father," or Father Sweet. My mom's maiden name was Sweet. "Yours, my sweet father," or Father Sweet, "is the legacy of kindness, of peace, of wisdom, and of knowledge. May the love and light you brought to this family remain kindled in our minds and in our hearts as we go forth in the spirit of family. You, my dear daddy, were a man of spirit. You did what you had to do and lived your life by justice and reason and love, and let it be said, Henry was an honorable man. We each miss you, sweet daddles, in our own way." To Mom, this is my mom writing to her mom. "To Mom, hers is the most profound loss. She calls to you, Daddy, and wonders at your new response. You are there, you are here, but your familiar presence was much more comforting. To Bob, who lost his father at 4, that's my dad, my mom's husband. To Bob, your devoted second son, his is a unique loss, for you are his father, and he remembers you that way. To our children, my brother and sister and me, they are the enriched flock. They are the receivers of the richness of your legacy. Theirs is a fortune in lessons learned and relearned as the young ones grow toward, and the older ones refine their adulthoods. For me," continued my mom, "you are in the heart when I rise up in the morning and when I lie down in the evening and at all times in between. I cherish the words, Daddy, which have passed between us, and I long for the possibilities which will be no more. I miss the listener. My daddy, you were the listener above all listeners. You accepted my ravings when no one else would or could. Even when you did not agree, you listened, and you inquired. You cared, and I shall miss those qualities. We are blessed in our prayer book, in our weekly liturgy, with a blessing that goes like this: Baruch atah Adonai hashomea tefillah. Blessed are you, Adonai, the one who listens. The one who listens to our ravings and cravings, to our highs and our hurts, to our hopes and dreams and aspirations. I remember my Papa so clearly. His love binds me to him and binds even him to my children who never knew him, don't know him. We'll close this Yizkor by reciting the formal Kaddish. This is after our Torah service. We just heard my mom's Kaddish to her daddy. Before concluding this Yizkor, I want to share one more poem by Herman Zarin. It's called A Kaddish. Here it is. I remember you ever with love. You have not departed from my unforgetting heart. You lit my being, who linked us in the warmth of father, mother, child, grandchild. I'll add great-grandchild. I remember you in joyous days, beholding the strange beauty and wonder of our universe. What is Yizkor? It's a time to remember. It's a time to express our love, a time to convey our longing and our sadness over what is past, and our gratitude for what we have had and what we have. And as well, it's a time of awe, a time of beauty, and a time of wonder. These are just some of the things that Yizkor is teaching us. We take a few moments on 316 or any of the meditations of our heart to remember our loved ones. Page 318.
Please rise. Il male rachamim shochen bamromim hametzeh menucha nechona tachat kanafei השכינה עם קדושים וטהורים כסוהר הרקיע מזהירים לנשמת יקירנו שהלכו לעולמם בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם אדוני הוא נחלתם וינוחו בשלום על משכבם ונאמר אמן.
Let's offer the English together on 318, page 318. Fully compassionate God on high, to our loved ones who have entered eternity, grant clear and certain rest with you in the lofty heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, forever enfold them in the brace of your wings, secure their souls in eternity. Adonai, they are yours. They will rest in peace. Let's turn to the next page, 319, as we offer this reading in the rising of the sun. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. And lastly, so long as they live, we too shall live, for they are now part of us as we remember them. And as this beautiful reading reminds us, tells us we remember them, we think of the names of our loved ones. We're going to share them out loud as we come to the very end of the service, after we've concluded the Torah service. And so now, as I said, we go down to this place of sadness and loss and all of the feelings that brings. And we rise now to make a climb up Mount Sinai. We begin our Torah service. And so if I can ask a number of people to take your position, if I can ask Andy and Abby to come and open the ark. And do you want to take over? Sure. Okay, go for it.
We're on page 230. Dan, you'll be holding a Torah as we take it out. And those are our honors for now. If you're able to remain standing, please do so.
Can't you ready?
אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני ואין כמעשיך מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים וממשלתך בכל דור ודור אדוני מלך אדוני מלך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך לציון תבנה חומות ירושלים תבנה חומות ירושלים 32. Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'kedushato Adonai Adonai El Rachum V'Chanun Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet Notzer Chesed V'Yalavim Nosei Avon V'Avesha V'Chata V'Nakeh.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Let's repeat.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadolul Adonai iti uneromema Shemo yachdav. Echa Adonai agedol ve'agevura ve'atiferet ve'hanetzach ve'hahod ki chol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz ki chol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz Echa Adonai hamamlacha ve'amitnaseh lechol lerosh Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Ha'olam omed Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Ha'olam omed Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim Al shlosha ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to have two aliyot, and the second one is the big moment of our naming. Hold 1 second. We're in the book of Deuteronomy. Is there a yod right here? Book of Deuteronomy. Is that one?
Here we go.
Chapter 16, which is a reading specifically for this moment in our calendar, being the end of Passover. That's right. Here we are. Right here. Okay. Sure. Yeah, sure.
And for the honor of the first Aliyah, thank you, Elaine, for following along in the text. And for the honor of the first Aliyah, calling up Dan and Renee. Ya'amdu l'Aliyah Rishona. Come this way. There's more room on this side.
As I said, this is we've made the journey down, and every Torah reading is like a climb up to the top, the highest Jewish place there is. Well, I guess the heavens are higher, but Mount Sinai. Here we are. Okay.
See, now the height differential is much better. Okay. So, with so much love and joy to be here at a moment of celebrating life.
I just want to say, before we do this, that Mike would have loved this.
He is loving it.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Yimvarach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shiva Shavuot Tispor Lach Mehachel Harmesh Bakama Tachel Ispor Shiva Shavuot Vasita Chag Shavuot Ladonai Elohecha Misat Nidvat Yadcha Asher Titen Kasher Yevarechecha Adonai Elohecha V'samachta lifnei Adonai Elohecha Ata uvincha uvitecha v'yavdecha v'yamatecha v'halevi asher bish'arecha v'ager v'hayatom v'ha'almana asher b'kirbecha b'makom Asher yivcha Adonai Elohecha v'shaken shemo sham v'zacharta ki eved hayita b'mitzrayim v'shamarta v'asita et hachukim ha'eleh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Dan, that's pretty good. It's like,
It's been a while since my bar mitzvah.
yeah, I get it. You should feel proud.
You know Portuguese, you should, this is nothing.
Do you know Portuguese
on.
too? What? You do? Can you do that in Portuguese? I don't know. Okay. Next time.
We
Okay.
here with the word chag. Okay, the moment. Are there drugs involved? The behavior is so good. I mean, you know, Dramamine or something. Amazing, beautiful. Come on up, Raquel and Will, and your beautiful soon-to-be-named children.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Great grandpa is beaming. What did we call it? What do they call you, Renee? Nana. Nana. And Papa? Grandpa. Okay, good.
So you'll do this one, and then I have the English one.
Okay, here we go. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Yimvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher barabanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Chag HaSukkot taseh lecha shivat yamim ve'aspecha migarncha ומבכך ושמחת בחגיך אתה ובנך וביתך ועבדך ואמתך והלוי והגר והיתום והאלמנה אשר בשעריך שבעת ימים תחוג לאדוני אלוהיך במקום אשר יבחר אדוני כי יברכך אדוני אלוהיך בכל תבואתך ובכל מעשה ידיך והיית אך שמח שלוש פעמים בשנה יראה כל זכורך את פני אדוני אלוהיך במקום אשר יבחר בחג hamatzot, uvechag hashavuot, uvechag hasukot, velo yara'eh et pnei Adonai rekam, ish kematnat yado, kevirkat Adonai Elohecha asher natan lach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of all, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this season.
Amen. For giving us
Amen.
bountiful, abundant life. Okay, so you both stand right here. Maybe the little toesies can be, or the little hands can be proximate to Torah. And I am going to, formally in a minute, we are going to bestow the blessing that comes with your beautiful Hebrew names, which I'm going to announce right now. But then I'm going to allow your parents to say a word about your names. So, your Hebrew names are Esther and Abraham. And we're going to hear a little bit about why.
Oh, it's on my phone, which is down there.
Oh, I'll get the phone. It's in the phone. Come on down, actually. That would be beautiful. Come, or, yeah, come on down. Oh, sorry.
Someone have access to your, there we go.
How many hands do you have as a mother? Many.
No, just breathe, don't worry. Do it from down here.
Yeah, this is fine. And we have here, as we announce, this beautiful chair is symbolizing Kisei Eliyahu, the chair of Elijah, reminding us that with each new life, and especially with two, there's so much potential that maybe Elijah is right here in the room with us, and we're getting just a little bit closer to wholeness and fullness. Can I carry something for you?
Can we hold one of your children for you?
Okay. So, oh, sure. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. Oh, look at all this surface. I'll be back for sure. Okay. So, quickly, Hebrew names are sacred names. They exist in sacred spaces that require introspection, observation, and faith. We hope these names can serve as a beacon for them when they are lost or searching for answers to unanswerable questions. They may ask, well, my mom gave me this name. Let me look it up and see what it's about. We hope they can recognize themselves in these characters and also find new depths to their traits. Much like Henry and Abigail, Abraham and Esther are completely different people and play very different roles in Jewish history, but they have a few common threads. They are both complex, push boundaries, and cannot be reduced to a single anecdote. They have the courage of their conviction, and they live by their principles. Esther is known for winning a beauty contest and marrying a king. She is beautiful, demure, and well-mannered. The main job of women in the Torah is to facilitate and secure success for their husbands and their sons and act out the will of God. Through that lens, the book of Esther is radical. Esther is not guided by her husband, God, or a messenger of God. She acts on free will and is driven by her own moral integrity. At a distance, Esther seems to be the perfect female by biblical standards, but there's something very modern and revolutionary about Esther. She was a Jew living in Persian society, essentially hiding her faith. In her story, she shows us what it is to rise above, to find integrity, and not to assimilate. Abraham could not be more different. He is the original patriarch. In our current society, that sounds like the worst thing a man could be. But let's reframe that for a second. Abraham rejected the society that rejected the entirety of the society he lived in. He left everything he knew to pursue a new way of living and thinking. Oh boy. He was a leader, an inventor, and a debater. Though he was a devout follower of God, he had the courage to challenge God's reasoning. He was driven by compassion, and his interest expanded far beyond himself and his family. He wanted a better world for the people who lived in it, Jews and non-Jews. I think our world needs more men who ask questions and challenge the existing structures. We chose these names that we hear frequently in Jewish life so they may get to know these figures and develop their own relationship to their stories and come to their own conclusions. Jewish tradition holds that the name of a soul exists before birth. So I hope we've done right by them and picked the right names. Thanks for
You
coming.
have done amazing. That's incredible.
Incredible. So stay right here. So in a minute, we're going to raise a chuppah over your heads as a reminder of maybe a chuppah that has come before. And nothing more needs to be said. But I'll offer maybe one last touch for each name. Esther reminds us of the phrase Hester Panim, that God's face is sometimes hidden. And into that space of mystery and hiddenness and pain can come human initiative. And there's this amazing moment when Mordechai says, you know, maybe it's just for this moment, Esther, that you were put in this place. So may you recognize the moments when they open. And Avraham wasn't always Avraham. He was Avram, the idol smasher, as your mother has said. Someone who is always, I think of Avraham as being a person in suspended animation, always in a place of becoming. From the first time we hear, it's a lech lecha, it's a going forth, it's an advocating even against the will of God for those who are powerless. And so just as Avram got the hay in his name for Hashem, and the name grew, may you know that God's name is inscribed upon your soul. And may you bring God's name closer to this world. So, we have height in this family, which is a beautiful thing. I need,
Which family?
actually, not ours. And not this clerical family either. So let's see. Would you two step forward just a little bit? I want any Zarins to come and gather around in the back, and at least 4 Zarins to hold, and that includes you, Renee, to hold this chuppah over, without messing up anybody's hair, over the family. Renee, you don't count. Come on. Everyone's in.
Come on. Yeah, definitely.
And I would like
Mike's sister,
everybody
I mean,
to
who's-
rise.
It's not Mike's sister. You can come.
Beautiful. And we have here, there are beautiful certificates to mark this moment, which you will both get. I know you're very excited about your naming certificates.
Help Dan. His arms are going to get tired in a while.
Don't worry, it's a short
It's
blessing.
short.
So I'll read this bracha. Please offer your own blessings to this family and to these babies. And then we will wrap the family in the talit, and the cantor will offer the priestly benediction. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham and Isaac, I'm blocking the view, and Jacob and Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel and Leah bless this mother, Rachel, and this father, Will, and their daughter, Abigail, and their son, Henry. Their names among the Jewish people shall be Esther, bat Rachel, Vavil, and Avraham, ben Rachel, Vavil. Merciful God, grant that these children will grow to maturity in good health and mind. May they be sensitive human beings, caring a son and daughter. May they be spared the ravages of war and violence, the bitterness of hatred and prejudice. May they be a blessing to all who know them, to the people Israel, and to all humanity. May they be blessed with long life, surrounded by beloved family. May their parents find wisdom and length of days and strength to raise their son and daughter to the study and practice of Torah, to deeds of compassion and righteousness, and to witness their achievement of love, these children fulfilled. May they be capable of loving deeply. May they be loved deeply. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
Now let's wrap this talit around their shoulders.
Perfect.
That's awesome. And put your hands on their shoulders.
Exactly.
And we offer
Cantor.
our people's oldest blessing.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך וישמרך.
May God bless you and keep you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונקה.
Shine around you and envelop you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך
Mazel tov!
All right, we can take our seats, and why don't we remain standing as we turn to face the ark for Aleinu.
We're going to raise the Torah, I think.
Oh, wait, what am I saying? Right. No, whoops, my mistake. Dean. Inspector.
So we
in
are
all of the
raising the
joy, I
Torah,
forgot
and actually
to-
I'm going to ask Martha and Arlene, will you help us dress the Torah? You can just come right down here to the pew. Maybe Elaine, you can help them. And of course, when the Torah rises, if we're able, we rise as well. Our tree of life.
Oh, you're going to go like this.
Page 246.
Show it to everybody.
Up we go. The Torah is almost up.
On your right hands. Bend your knees. Yeah, I'll help you. I mean, I'll...
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. תורה, תורה, תורה,
This is where we need your spirit and your clapping.
תורה ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 תורה ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 תורה ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 תורה ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 תורה,
Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah. And to assist us with opening the ark, takes a lot of community members to do it right. Lauren and David, will you come up? Just help us open the ark. And we are on page 250.
254, I think. Eight's high.
יהללו את שם אדוני כי נשגב שמו לבדו. מצרים היא המחזיקים בה.
250. דומיה מאושן תרחיה לחינם וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו
Come down.
As we bridge to Kaddish, we remain standing. There are so many names, I think, that many of us are holding at a moment of memory such as this.
We're going to be on page 200. Oh, right.
We're getting jumbled. Forgive us, Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי
may be seated for a moment. It's a long time to sing.
Before the reason we're asking you to sit is because we're going to ask and invite each of you to share the name of your loved one or loved ones out loud. And so that's why we're doing this. We'll ask everybody.
Rising now, if we are able, for 334 for Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon v'yom echon, uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha breichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'miran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
V'imru amen.
May the one who creates harmony and peace and healing on high bring that to all Israel, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, to all humanity. We say one last time, amen. We move now to Kiddush, and oh my goodness, this is so sadly flat, the bread plate. But it is, you know, sometimes freedom requires a little self-reduction. And I actually think all Yizkers should be twinned with a naming. You've brought us such joy and comfort and affirmation of life. Cantor, would you lead us in Kiddush?
Let's sing V'shamru.
V'shamru, beautiful.
ושמרו
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם.
ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם.
340.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. הקים ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו, אלה מועדי אדוני מקראי קודש, אשר תקראו אותם במועדם. וידבר משה את מועדי אדוני אל בני ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן.
Amen. Abigail and Henry, you have to do motzi. We're trying to train you. Come on. Here we go. The training starts early. Your mom had to drive a long way to go to Hebrew school in New Hampshire. You gotta get, okay. All right. Let's join with them just so they can learn. Listen up. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. It's a big teething biscuit. Amen. Yes, totally. Go for it.
It's a great teething biscuit, I think,
It's
is it?
perfect.
Or
Go
no?
for it.
Or will they? Mom, what do I do with this? Dad, what do I do? Try to eat it. Teeth.
Adon olam
Hashem malach b'terem kol yitzir nira v'yet naso v'chefso kol hazai melech shemo nikra v'yacharei kikvot hakol
לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה ותפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני. להמשיך לו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תחתית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי. בצור חבלי ביצרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, במטרוסי ביום אקרא, בידו הפקיד רוחי, והייתי שם והעילה, ועם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Thank you, Shai. Thank you, all our service contributors, especially Hagba. Wow, that was impressive. And there's some treats outside, some Passover-friendly treats. Maybe that's an oxymoron in the lobby.